we've seen too many of our friends die when they've been abandoned, because there's no witnesses to be with them. So, I've seen two of our friends die specifically lately from wearing masks. One of them had to be wearing masks in Collin County, and she developed bacterial pneumonia in her lungs, and they blew out her lungs with a vent with no one present. And then we just had another friend die from pretty much the same thing because he's been wearing a mask. So I have I've got medical and a religious exemption from wearing those masks. And I will not be forced by private business to put on something that I have knowledge they're harmful.
Once you get a mask on, if you can step right on up here.
Okay, he just pulled up. So.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, Officer O'Hara is here. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Yes, he is. All right, bye-bye. Okay. On to that. Yeah. Okay. They're claiming that we have to wear masks for her to be seen and to be with her because but this is under federal law, a hospital, any private facility such as a personal office of a healthcare provider, hospital, or other service establishment falls under as a public accommodation under federal law. That's 42 U.S. Code 12181. Their Title II of the Civil Rights Act says that we cannot be discriminated against based on religious beliefs. And their own patient rights and responsibilities says that they will not discriminate under federal civil rights laws and under disability, race, or religion. And so we're asking you to uphold that.
Against your religion to wear a mask.
It violates my personal religious belief, hers and hers.
Well, she has a medical condition.
And she has a medical condition, I do, and she does.
So you know, by law, obviously you brought your law. They are required, if she comes in here and she is in a situation where she needs to be treated to stabilize her, they are required to stabilize her. But if she is not in a condition where she is going to be in grave harm of losing her life, if she's not in that, then they can refuse you if they have a policy that you don't adhere, that you don't want to adhere to.
Well, she needs treatment because her leg is. She started out with.
It's not there. It's here too.
So she's
She needs antibiotics.
She needs it
And
right away.
She was told if she didn't get antibiotics, she might die.
okay.
So she
So
does
that
need
is great.
imminent.
It is a great condition.
Okay. So I understand that you're talking about federal law, and
Yes.
that's wonderful. But this is technically private property.
It's a public accommodation.
According
It
to
is private
federal law.
property.
It's
They have the
public.
right to refuse services.
No, they do not.
They do actually.
They do not.
They do. Because-
You took an oath to uphold the federal laws.
No, I didn't. I took
Yes,
an
you
oath to
did.
uphold the laws of the state of Texas.
You want me to
And the
read your
Constitution.
oath to
I'm
you?
telling, and the Constitution and the Constitution.
The-
of the state
no,
of
no,
Texas.
no, no.
Well, I'm telling
I've
you
had-
right now.
I've had-
Sir, I'm telling you, they have the right to tell you that you
No,
need
they
something
do
in your
not.
own property. Yes,
They do not.
If it was against my religion
I've
to wear
studied the
pants,
law
It's-
year
I have to
after
still
year
wear
after
pants.
year.
They can
You took
refuse
an
me
oath
service.
to
So if
uphold
they
the
told
U.S.
us that-
Constitution, the state constitution, and all laws made
That's not what we're
pursuant.
saying.
So if they told us that we needed to snort a line of coke before we came in here because it's their policy,
That is immoral, unethical, and illegal. So no, they can't do that.
So-
But
well,
asking you
to
wear
me,
a facial
wearing-
covering inside their medical
that's immoral
facility,
to
they're
me.
allowed to do that, whether you
That's
believe they're
immoral to
effective or
me.
not is irrelevant in this case.
No, it
They
is
have
not.
a policy
No.
that states that if you're going to enter into their facility to receive care,
You are
have to
quoting.
follow their policy.
You are quoting
If you don't
something
want to
that's
do
not
that,
law.
they
he's got the law.
I've got
have
the law
right-
right here.
They have the right
No, they
to
do not.
refuse you access to private
They
property.
do not.
Sir, may I say something?
Yes, ma'am, of course.
I am only here because the treatment
can I
that I
just get her up here
require, it is exclusive to them. I need I feed of antibiotics.
Okay.
I can't get that at a doctor's office, or I would be at a doctor's office
Understood.
So they can set up their medical system so that is their exclusive territory that they can provide treatment. So I can't get that treatment anyplace else. Okay? Otherwise, I wouldn't have come through those doors.
Understood.
Okay, so I'm stuck. I'm stuck here.
And I understand that it's an inconvenience. It's not the best thing that you want to be doing right now.
It's not, it's more than an inconvenience. In the first place, it's an expense far beyond what I can afford, but I'll come up with it, I'll cough it up. But the least they can do is just at least find out what's wrong with me. And let me know if they can even treat this. Can they even provide the IV?
I don't believe that they are completely refusing you service for any other reason than they're asking you
They
to adhere to
haven't
their
even
policy.
talked to them.
And I'm assuming that a lot of that has to
Their
do with
policy
the
is
fact
not
that
lawful.
When they said, please wear a mask, somebody came in hot and heavy and they didn't have a chance to talk to you yet. I'm assuming that probably has a lot to do with the reason why nobody's had a conversation with you yet. Because what I would like to see happen is I'd like to see you get the treatment that you need to get. I would like to see you get your medication. I would like to see you get back there and get taken care of. But like I've said, we are in an emergency room that is owned by a private company. This is a private company.
But it's a public accommodation.
Public accommodation under federal law that you're
So as
supposed
I'm
to
telling you,
protect.
other people are also able, let's say somebody causes a disturbance in this lobby, right? They have the right to criminally trespass that person so that they're not allowed back.
Accommodation.
So what I'm trying to tell you is they are not refusing you service. They are not even refusing you access to the building. They are just asking you to adhere to a policy that they have in place. Much like any private business can say, no shirt, no shoes, no service.
No.
This is their choice to say that face masks are required.
So
Whether I agree with it
I-
is irrelevant.
I
The
explained
fact
to
of the matter is
her,
that is their policy.
I explained to her that I have the
Law trumps
medical
policy.
exemption.
Federal law.
Law
And
trumps
medical
policy.
Have you
You're an
asked
officer
them?
of the law.
Have you asked them whether they would give you a face shield instead of a face mask
I'm
to help
okay
with that
with that.
accommodation? Would you provide a face shield?
That's a medical decision.
Would you be okay with a face shield? So that she'd be able to still get treatment?
Let me check with the doctor and just make sure it's okay. Well, is she gonna be the one going back, or are they gonna be going back with her without a patient?
Well, she is the one who's the patient. So if if you are okay with wearing a face shield and getting treatment, that's great. With you not being patients,
We're her advocate. We're
well,
with her.
you technically don't have to be allowed access back there. If she wants to go back there and get treatment, you're not
What's your
patients.
Bill of Rights say?
You don't have to be sent back there.
The Bill of Rights says that they have to comply with all federal civil rights laws and do not discriminate. And by denying her
They're not
access,
denying her access. They're
they're
working on a
denying
solution
her
right now.
access to
No, they're not. They're just
an advocate.
right now.
We have to be, one of us at least has to be with her.
Not technically, no. That's
What law are you, saying?
This is private property.
No, I wanna see
So-
what law.
But we're going by their.
We're going by
their-
the federal
their
law
own-
that trumps
And,
it.
and their own policy, their own patient bill of
Their own
rights.
policy states that you're allowed to go back there with her and not have to follow hospital policy. That's what their policy says?
Their policy
Their
says.
policy's
that-
not law.
Their policy says
But you're quoting their policy.
And I've
she
got
can have a
federal law.
patient advocate.
You're required to uphold federal law.
I'm required to uphold state law.
Oh my goodness.
So
Did
what
you
I'm
get
telling you
that?
right now
I did.
is that she is allowed to go back and get care, just like she should be allowed to. If they're gonna work on getting her a face mask, a face shield instead of a face mask, so she's more comfortable, that's a great way to get this done.
When you signed your oath of
What I'm
office,
trying to
did
tell
you,
you
did you
is that
remember
you
the
obviously
part?
came here with the intention on causing.
No, I brought this because
You brought it with you
I knew
because
y'all
you
would
knew
try
that there
to
was gonna be an
abuse our
issue.
right.
We want to get her help. That's the issue.
That's my main goal.
Yes, exactly.
But
Mine
I'm
too.
not gonna
That's
put
why I'm trying to
something on
figure
my
out
face
how to
that's
get
gonna
a face
trap
shield.
bacteria in my mouth, in
Then
my
you have
lungs.
no need to go back there.
Yes, I do. I
She does. She
advocate
needs
for her.
medical help.
I've seen
You
two
can
of my
advocate over
friends
the phone,
recently
you
die
can
because
advocate
hospitals
FaceTime. There's
treating
multiple
them.
different ways. But they have the ability to say, if you don't follow their policies, we
No,
can't
they
let
do
you
not.
back.
No, you
Yes, they do.
you show me the
Because
law
you
that
can
says
tell
they're
me
not
that-
public accommodation.
Sir, you could tell me that anything is against your religion. You
You
could
could
literally
tell-
tell me
yes.
that anything, and that would mean that you don't have
And
to
you would
follow
have
any
to obey it.
policies as long as you say it's against your religion. That is not what that law is
You
intended
want me to
mean.
quote it to you? You want me to quote
Religion?
where it violates my religious beliefs?
Frankly, the bottom line is
It doesn't-
they get to say whether or not you're allowed to.
No, they do not.
Yes, they do.
No, they're required to, since they open up to the entire public, they're required to open up to all of the public indiscriminately. Whether I'm wearing a mask or, you can't treat someone differently because they're wearing a mask or not wearing a mask.
They get to
And that's
decide
what
what
your
the rules
oath
are
is
on their
for.
private property.
We called you out because you're required to uphold the Constitution, the state constitution, and the state and federal laws that comply with
Also
those
required to
constitutions.
fight to take care of them too.
If those,
Correct.
any acts,
Not if they're violating
not if
the
they
law.
are violative of the Constitution, which is the supreme law of this state, that you took an oath to uphold. That's why we called you out
So I
here.
still don't understand how wearing, like you said, wearing the mask is against your religion. Like I said, I'm not
Do you
here to
wanna-
argue whether or
okay.
not it's effective or not. That's
Let me
irrelevant.
explain, let me explain two things to you. OSHA requires that this building, be provided 20.9% oxygen. When you put a mask on, I've tested those masks. When you put that mask on, it lowers it to like 16 to 17%. That makes it an oxygen deficient atmosphere, an IDLH environment. That means this whole place should be shut down.
I'm still waiting
Or
to see
provide
what
oxygen.
this is against your religion.
What about it?
Because
You're talking
I believe in
about OSHA
faith,
standards
not
and all
fear.
that.
When you put a mask on, that hides the face that God gave me. Okay? And plus it destroys the temple of the Holy Spirit. That violates my belief in God. That says I don't trust your immune system. I believe that you made an error. That's wrong. No man,
God
not
didn't make any
you,
errors.
not you, none of them can tell us that we have to wear a mask in order to get treatment. That's what the whole Civil Rights Act was for.
And I understand that, and I agree with you wholeheartedly,
Obviously.
but what I also don't agree with is that you can't say in one hand that you 100% trust God's immune system while coming to a hospital to get antibiotics for her immune system. That's basically saying
She has an infection.
She has an infection.
She has an infection. We didn't
That's
say we
it.
don't
So what
believe in
I'm
medical
saying
care.
is-
So
What I'm saying
basically,
is-
guys, you guys are delaying her care because.
No, you've refused
No,
to
you're
see her
delaying her
because
care.
you
We're
want
not
her to
delaying
put
her
something
care.
on that's gonna trap bacteria in her lungs.
We're not.
Now, I'm just asking she get treatment and have an advocate. If I have to go outside while my wife goes in with
Make sure
her,
that-
I'm fine with
Not
that.
get care here.
But I want one of y'all to see her and take care of her.
We will.
Because federal law protects her and us. Yes, it does.
No.
You can't
It does.
say that you can't be in here without a mask. No.
Well, they do reserve that right, sir.
No,
And what
they
I'm-
do not.
Basically, at this point, as much as it pains me to tell you this, if we're not willing to abide by the rules of the facility, then they are asking you to go elsewhere and seek treatment elsewhere. Whether it be another hospital or another location. That is what this facility is asking.
You want my name?
So.
Yes, I do. Y'all are denying her medical care that can
Please
save
don't
her
take my
life.
We are
picture.
100%
I'm not
saying
in
she
your
can come
No,
in here.
you're not taking my
She
picture.
needs.
I'm not. I'm getting a
You are
picture.
not taking my picture. My name is innocent. It's against our rule to video, okay?
And y'all are
I
denying
was trying to get a picture of it.
I just told you my name, innocent, I don't want to take my
Okay,
picture.
I'm not gonna take your
We
picture.
have the
I
right
would
to
love to get her
preserve,
care. She obviously needs care.
You're
follow the
standing in
rules that
way
we
of her
have
doing
here.
her care.
It's
And
your
they're
choice if
denying
you
her
don't want us
asking
to.
me
Y'all are violating federal
to
law.
relate
No, we're
to
not.
you that unless you're willing to abide
If-
by
if-
Have
their
you
rules
researched that?
in their
If you
facility,
believe in medical
then you will have
science
to go elsewhere.
and believe for us to take care of
So
her,
you're
you
saying
should also
that in a
believe in
place of a
simple
public
infection
accommodation
prevention
that's covered
techniques.
under U.S.
Yes,
law.
the
I am
mask
telling
is
you,
not
you're
that.
in
That's
this
not
facility
that.
on private property.
We've
We
been
have
doing
to
that
live
before
in
COVID
it.
came
Cannot
out.
be
I have another
treated.
dog,
Is that
but
what
he
you're
doesn't
saying?
breathe.
We
I'm
have
telling you
been
that
doing
in
that
this
before
hospital,
COVID came
on
out.
private property, they have the right
we're
to
not
set the
in the
rules,
hospital.
and if you don't want to abide by them,
They
In
have rules,
surgery,
they can
yes.
set rules that do not
personally,
violate
I would
our
like to get
rights.
her treatment. I would like
We
to
would
get
like to
her
get her
help.
treatment too.
Her civil
So
rights
we'd like
trump
we'd like
any
it right
rules that
now.
could be placed by
We'd
this
like her
hospital.
to go back right now.
Yes, and I would love that too, but she has to follow the rules of what they're saying. Like I said, I don't even have to agree with wearing face masks to understand that this is private property and it's their rules to do so. And if there are other facilities that don't require it, then I can go to those facilities and
Wow.
wear one.
So if we were to walk out this door and she fall over dead, you and everybody in this this emergency room would be
So I'm
responsible
pretty
for
sure it's
that.
you are the one that's refusing
No.
to let her
No.
get treatment.
No, I'm
she's
not.
right here, sitting here,
She's
ready.
right here,
She's
telling
ready.
you that she's not gonna, she wants to be treated.
And ma'am, if you're willing to follow that one rule and go back there and get your treatment, then that is 100% fine. They are not refusing you care. They are asking you to wear the face
You're
covering.
putting a
when you're in the
condition on her
So
getting
she
medical
cannot
care
wear
on
a face
wearing
ma- or
something that
face
has been
shield.
proven that does not cause.
She cannot wear a
does not-
face
Does she
shield.
have a
There's
medical
already
condition
100
preventing her from
conditions.
wearing one?
Yes, she does.
You can't bring a
What,
firearm.
do you
back
have
there.
it
You
on
can't.
paper?
Well, I'm
I don't
not
have anything
bringing
on
a firearm.
But what
back
I'm saying is there's already conditions you're willing to abide by. And
that
you're
aren't
not having
harmful
issues.
to our health. You don't
Some
understand
might
that.
argue that could be.
No, it doesn't violate our.
They can even give her a nasal cannula of pure oxygen while she's back there
Me
with the
taking,
mask.
me taking
And
my
she gets-
firearm off and leaving it in the car, that does not violate my health. Unless someone comes in this and shoots up the place, that would then put all of y'all, by putting signs on the door, negligent. But she's seeking medical help. She also has a right, under the patient rights, to have an advocate. But you are in the way of her
And
getting
that advocate
treatment,
can
and
be
they're
both
saying
in
that
person
she,
or
her,
over the phone.
her medical treatment
But you can
is
easily be
conditional
an
on
advocate.
her
I
suffocating
tried
herself.
to reach someone by phone.
Okay.
I kept getting transferred from department to department to
No,
department.
what I'm saying is that if you were to go back to receive care and you wanted your son to be an advocate for you, you could connect to him via speakerphone or iPhone, the face chat, or any of that.
I couldn't
as that
even
is well.
find out if they could give me the service that I require. I kept getting sent from place to place to place, and they finally said, just show up at the emergency room. I showed up, and this is the reception I've gotten.
And I understand, trust me, I completely, I don't
And I
have to be an
still
advocate at the face
don't
office.
know if they can provide the service that are required, because I've been at a
Which you're
chance
looking
to
for
even
IV
talk to
Some IV antibiotics.
that's all I want, just an outpatient injection, just,
I got you.
if you know someone, a doctor, a
Off the top of
drug
my head, I'm
shooter,
not sure. Most medical facilities are requiring facial coverings. That's just, like I said, I don't have to agree with it for it to be their policies. So even when I come in on duty, I'm required to put one on because I have to follow their rules when I'm on their facility. I don't, like I said, I don't have to agree with it, but I have to at least abide by it because it is their private property and they reserve the right
Public
to say,
accommodation.
Under, can I say something real quick?
is it the same thing you've been
No,
saying?
under Title II, I'm gonna read it to you. You have the right to, under Title II, to full and equal enjoyment of goods, services, facilities, privileges, advantages, and accommodations of any place of public accommodation. That doesn't say unless you wear a mask. And under Title 42 of US Code that you're supposed to uphold, a hospital is a place of public accommodation. Private
So, sir, let me ask you this
businesses
question.
are public
100%
accommodations.
legitimate question for you.
Okay?
If a colony of nudists decided they wanted to come into this hospital and they wanted to walk through that front door completely naked, should they be allowed to do that because that's their religion? Everybody
Absolutely.
else. So you,
Absolutely. Do you know what the
100% they should be able
laws?
to walk in completely nude.
As long as it
walking
doesn't impede the health, safety, and welfare, the police state, or the police power of the state cannot be brought up.
So you
As
have,
long as they
you
don't
have
come
no
in here,
issue.
I'm answering your question. As long as they're coming in here with the intent to seek medical care and not to make arouse someone, they're not breaking state law. So I answered your
But my
question.
question is, if their policy states they have to be clothed, and they
If
say,
they
hey,
have
you gotta
a
put some clothing on
legitimate
to come in.
reason, if they have a legitimate reason why it would harm someone's health, then yes.
So basically what I'm saying is for her, they can give her pure oxygen to give above your 20%. They can give her that to keep her safe while she has her mask on. They can do those things to take care of her.
But if she's got a mask on that's trapping bacteria, it's not the way God intended. Our immune system was meant to expel bacteria, not trap high levels of bacteria in our lungs and our mouth. Your mouth has everything to do with your health. Your lungs, when you have your alveoli in your lungs growing with bacteria that causes bacterial pneumonia, like most people that are wearing masks, you're gonna have all these people testing positive. We've never worn a mask one day, and we've been healthy as a horse.
I'm not
And
even
everybody I
arguing
know
with
that's
you.
been
What
wearing
I'm
masks
saying
are the people
when you're
getting
coming
sick.
onto this property and you want to come into this facility, they are requiring a facial covering.
They can't.
If you want, then you can go.
Federal law protects it.
Then
It's just like
take up a federal suit against
No.
them.
It
But
is.
that's your
they are telling me
You're
right
required
now,
as a
either-
law enforcement officer, y'all are all supposed to enforce her federally protected rights. Y'all took an oath.
Not
Whether you
has rights
remember,
too.
huh?
The business has rights too.
The business has
But it
rights.
doesn't trump law.
We're not
Their
violating their
policy
rights.
does not trump law,
Well,
Yeah.
They set forth policy.
and it doesn't trump
You're
law,
supposed to
federal law.
enforce.
Trump
You're
is their
supposed to
business.
enforce federal law first.
So can I ask this? If you sew up on not wearing the mask, then why is there one in her purse?
I don't know if she's got one in her purse.
She does.
Okay.
So obviously you're.
Well, I don't wear. I
I
don't
guess
own
someone gave it to her, that would be my guess.
one. Maybe she uses it to blow her nose.
I mean, I'm just telling you right now, it's a choice.
We've issued it past. They control this property. This is private property, it is theirs. I don't have a say on who they are allowed to force back or not allowed back into that facility.
Okay.
They are telling me that unless you abide by the facial coverings, that you have to leave the property.
Okay.
I
so
would
they're
much
gonna-
prefer that.
So y'all are going to enforce their policy over federal law. That federal law trumps this.
Their policy
Their
controls
policy
their
is
private property.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it
Federal
does.
law
Their
provides,
policy
they can't
provides
make a
federal
policy that violates civil rights.
If she is brought here and she needs medical care, they will treat her to keep her stable, to do what needs to be done.
She needs
She
it
has
right
the
now.
ability to go to another facility, or you can give her, she can put on a facial covering.
You didn't even
and
know
give her
you took an
information.
oath to the federal constitution.
Sir, I really, really,
They
really.
are,
I'm trying to explain the law to you.
refusing to give her a face
We're
shield. She
getting to the
said she
point
could
now?
wear a face shield. So what's wrong
She
with
needs
that?
treatment.
Why
Are you
can she-
going to stand in the way of
Why
her
can
getting
she not
treatment?
have a face shield? Somebody explain that to
We
me.
want to protect our staff members too from getting
She's
sick.
not
From
sick.
what? The
How do you know
CDC
that?
doesn't
We
even,
want-
the CDC can't
Can
even
you allow
provide
me-
proof it exists.
Can you allow me to talk, sir?
Yes, I will.
Okay. We have the right to protect our staff members from being sick.
You have a mask on.
Yeah, your mask works, doesn't it?
It's our job to make sure that our staff members are safe too.
Okay.
So to do that, we want everybody to wear masks, including our staff members. So everybody coming into the facility must wear a mask. It's just the
How many
rule.
masks does it take?
100%.
Again, everybody coming into the facility must wear a mask.
Because that's just the way it is.
No.
It doesn't have to make any sense. It's just the way it is.
Because mask is supposed to protect
The work stuff.
me
But
infecting
you
you
know
or you
that's, you
infecting
know
me.
that's
I
not
have-
true. You know that's not true.
We have been using masks in hospitals before COVID ever came out.
Yeah, surgeons.
No,
I agree with
Or if there was someone that was sick.
No.
Yeah, if there's someone
if
that was
you if we identify you as having common
like
flu,
flu. Yeah,
we will go in your room with mask on.
right. But nobody here has the flu.
How do I know that?
Because we don't have the symptoms of the flu.
We have proof that we should be wearing a mask, that we have
Sir,
something that.
sir, I appreciate your passion for this topic,
I
ma'am.
just want her
I truly appreciate your
She
passion.
needs to see the doctor.
And I would love for her to see the doctor, you just need to follow the rules. We're not gonna change the
She
rules
will-
because
she
of
said
her.
she could wear a face shield.
Crazy.
Why does that not work?
I need
So
to
we
ask
require her to wear masks to protect
It's
our
like
staff
it's
members,
not
and that's where we're gonna, that's the end of
Really,
the
that's
conversation.
just, the real reason is
Ma'am,
because that's
you have a
punishment for
choice,
not wearing a mask.
you have a choice to seek medical care anywhere else. We're just not
We're
gonna.
here now and she
We're
needs,
here now,
she
you're a
needs help.
hospital.
I agree with you.
Again,
100% on
I
that.
apologize,
There's
it's just not
definitely
gonna
monopoly
happen.
on it.
It's
Well,
so-
we will be talking to the head of your
Sir,
hospital.
She has the
You
right
can-
to full
Correct.
and equal enjoyment of all services
And
and
I will
facilities.
encourage you
For
to,
me,
you
you getting
if you wanna
care for
put,
what's going on
you
is
can
the most important thing right now.
Let's say
take the
it.
hospital
I
to,
wanna see,
Making sure that
the
you're
can you
healthy
get the
is
administrator
the
here?
most important thing to do.
I'm the senior person in the department.
Dealing with whether or
Really,
not
what's your name?
something
Innocent.
is
Innocent.
And under the-
Innocent.
Yeah, under direction of the
Annoying a
department.
nuisance, something that's,
Okay.
that, we can figure that out.
I have a history.
So you're gonna stand in the way of her getting treatment?
I'm not standing in the
Yes,
way.
you are.
You are preventing her from getting treatment.
I'm not preventing anything. I've wheeled her in here.
It's the very simple thing. You let her wear a mask to protect my staff, and we'll take her back.
She's already
She's already told you.
She's already told me she's not gonna wear a mask.
Give me just 1 second.
She has that right under federal law.
And we have the right to refuse to do.
You do not have that right. She has the right to all services. This is criminal. Took a Hippocratic oath to not do any harm.
You guys have a choice when it comes to following policy.
Let me run it by the bishop.
Okay, okay. As a quick finish, if we can accomplish that. I mean, I'll try. Because I just made the point to him. Just trying to persuade them to let me go. She let us make that conversation.
Now, y'all
I
Christian-
said,
are you a
"Well,
Christian?"
with all this
No.
COVID craziness, I'm afraid to hit a hospital.
access to
There's nothing new again.
Oh, it does. I mean, whenever he meets your savior and he says, how did you treat your fellow man?
So ma'am,
That's,
here's what I've been able to work out, okay? They're okay with you wearing a face shield instead of a face mask, because mental history, you want to make sure you get taken care of. As far as the advocate portion goes, they are requesting or requiring that that advocate be via your phone-to-phone contact, so you can have constant phone contact with your son. He can be right out here listening to everything you say. You can be on speakerphone the entire time. But that's how they're requiring the advocate portion go if your advocates are not willing to follow the policy. So you are able to go in, get care with your face shield and not a face mask, but they're requesting or requiring that the advocacy portion be done via either FaceTime or telephone contact the whole time. Is that okay? Okay. Awesome.
He's gonna put a face shield on you, and he'll take you back, okay?
Alrighty, and you have your phone with you?
with that on.
I didn't.
Are you able to,
Ma'am, I said no pictures in the
No,
hospital.
she's just
That's what you gotta
documenting
do.
what's happening.
are you able to initiate?
They end up doing the
phone call
phone
now?
thing.
So we know what
Said they
connects
could
and
do
everything's
FaceTime
good.
now while they're in there.
She's taking a picture.
No, we're documenting what y'all are
Can't
forcing
take a
her to.
picture of her? I can't
Cannot
take a
take,
picture
no,
of her?
not in the hospital, ma'am.
There's
That's
another-
HIPAA violation.
No.
HIPAA violation.
Not a HIPAA violation.
Yes, ma'am, there's other people in the hospital
I
there.
didn't take a picture of other
You
people in the
shot in that
hospital.
direction, I don't know who's over there.
We're documenting what's
You
happening.
just want to make sure that your phone.
Not with a
connects
phone.
that way.
Yes.
Not with a
We
video.
have that right.
No, sir, you don't.
Yeah, actually we do, in a public accommodation. You wanna see case law on it? I've got it.
Sir, if you wanna come over here, we're gonna get it recepted.
What's that?
It's you, wanna come over
Me?
here? We're
Oh.
gonna get it recepted.
Just have to stay. Hello, ma'am.
She's not video.
Just allow her to
she's
finish.
she's
so
just
she
making
can
sure
get
that her
her
phone
phone.
is connected as well, so that she can have the advocacy. And it sounds like it's for you.
Oh, I mean, computer phone.
Perfect. Alright, now, put your face shield on and you're good to go. Man, that looks like you're a welder.
That's not right.
All right, ma'am, she's gonna try to get your information, okay, so she can get you registered.
No, she called.
Oh, okay.
He's gonna take her straight to a room and register her back there, okay? Just so we can get all that done.
Alright, so your phone connects, so you're good. And if you're having trouble getting it to connect, as long as you have the number queued up, you can ask any of the nurses, they can make sure it connects for you, get it on speaker for you, okay? All right.
I'm not very phone savvy.
Well, they're more phone savvy than I am, so they can make sure to get you in touch with them before any questions or any decisions are made, okay?
Okay.
Alrighty, and if you have any questions, just feel free to ask. Don't hesitate. If anything makes you nervous, they'll answer anything for you, okay?
Do you have to have a card?
I don't, but I can write down my name. I think I have a blank card. Maybe.
Is everything on here correct? The correct name and date of birth?
Yes.
I'm gonna place you on your wrist here and I'm gonna bring you back to a room. You base your own 2 bedside triage.
So that's me, and that's all the phone numbers for the department, okay? Hope they can help you out with everything. Yes, ma'am. Good luck to you.
I'll start him
Take
out.
care. That's criminal.
I don't even understand what constitutions they took it up to. They just care to protect the hospitals and big pharma. It's ridiculous. We have taken a friend of ours to Medical City of Lewisville, and they have tried to deny her care under Title II of the Federal Civil Rights Act, 1964. In fact, the officers claim they didn't take an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States, only state law. So people don't, the
You talk to the
law
Lewisville
enforcement
Police
officers, the Lewisville Police Department needs to be re-educated on what they took an oath to under the Texas Constitution, because when they don't understand what they are supposed to be enforcing, they probably even haven't read the constitutions, then how can you enforce law you never read and take an oath to? But our friend had sores up her legs and up her arms that was spreading, that needed antibiotics, and they were going to turn her away. They wanted her to leave if she couldn't wear a mask. And under Title II of Civil Rights Act says, in a public accommodation, which the hospital claims that they're not bound by because they're a private entity. So they obviously do not know what a public accommodation is, but a public accommodation is a private entity that is open to the public. And when you open to the public as a business, you open to all of the public, and you cannot discriminate, especially because of religious beliefs. And under Title II, and I read this to the officer, you have the right to full and equal enjoyment of the goods, services, facilities, privileges, advantages, and accommodations of any place of accommodations. But apparently, the Lewisville Police Department does not see it that way. They think that they're here to protect the hospitals and their policy, even when it violates state and federal law. So they're holding a hospital's policy over the federal law that protects our friend's rights. She's an elderly woman, and if she left and walked out of this hospital and died, her blood would be on their hands and these officers, and they would all be liable. So I don't know. One officer even claimed he wasn't Christian. So I mean, I guess I understand that. But the other one, I hate to see when God meets with him and says, "How did you treat your fellow man?" I'd hate to see how that answer comes out, because I mean, this is, when you treat people like this, you're an abomination in God's eyes. But we need to get back to being human again, wearing masks and vaccines are inhuman. These masks have been proven, I've tested them. They lower your oxygen to 15, 16, 17%, and that's just sitting still. But, and that violates, they can't force you to wear something that's gonna harm your life. But when you lower your oxygen below 19.5, which under OSHA law, 1910.134, then they're forcing an IDLH environment, an oxygen deficient environment on you. And they cannot do that. That violates your health, safety, and welfare. And for a hospital to do that is unconscionable. But they are doing it, and these officers are forcing it on people, violating your rights, not to mention these face masks force high levels of carbon dioxide back into your body and force you to acidify your blood and body and lower your oxygen intake. So these hospitals are tyrannical. You can't go to a hospital and get treated for something that could, who knows, kill you without suffocating yourself. That's unlawful. Violates federal law. And when you call a police officer to uphold the rights that they took an oath to, they take the side of a tyrant. That's just embarrassing. They shouldn't even be wearing a badge. We had 3 officers we called, and they all told us that we would have to leave rather than upholding the federal law under the Civil Rights Act of 1964. And their public policy, or their patient rights and responsibilities, even says that we comply with applicable federal civil rights laws and do not discriminate on the basis of age, gender, disability, race, color, ancestry, citizenship, religion, pregnancy, sexual orientation, gender identity, expression, and so on. A considerate and respectful care to receive ethical, high quality, safe, and professional care without discrimination. To be free from all forms of abuse and harassment. Well, what we just went through was harassment. It violates, we're there wheeling her in because she can't walk. What we just witnessed was abuse. They bullied her and she had to put a plexiglass face shield over her face. That's inhuman. I mean, CDC hadn't even proven. They've been sued in court for fraud because they cannot provide proof that COVID exists. They have everything else, anthrax, the plague, all of that they have samples of, but they don't have COVID. This is a fraud. People are dying because they put masks on their face and they're getting bacterial pneumonia. Yet they want you to be the same. They want you to put a mask on your face. Several of these, to get those numbers up. They want to test everybody because the tests are flawed. Even the person that created it said you could get a positive test from a tennis shoe because they're using high cycle PCR tests that only test for bacteria. They use PCR tests to test pneumonia patients for pneumonia way before COVID came. This stuff tests for bacteria, not COVID. Wake up, people. Inside the emergency room, we've got mask after mask after mask. There's another one. There's another one. There's another one. And there's another one. So, masks everywhere. This is disgusting. So, wow. I mean, look at all this. This is the disease. People are the disease. Masks. masks.